Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha Shirt Psychic, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy because, oops, right there behind me, I just got my plaque for 100,000 subscribers. Thanks to all of you for making it happen. I've been traveling a lot lately. I had a group going to Peru. I got back for 4 or 5 days. Then I went to Iceland, and I just got back, and now we're leaving for France. And then, of course, the first weekend in November, we've got our event in Benicia with Linda Grindle. So if you'd like more information about that, you can go to Linda Grindle, GRINDL.com/events. And I think the last time I talked to Linda, there was one opening. Linda and I have a show together on Monday. Um, and then next year, I've got some exciting trips coming up. In May, I've got a trip on the Danube. It starts in the Czech Republic, comes down to Germany. We get on the boat in Germany. We go all across Austria. We stop in Vienna, Bratislava, Slovakia, and then we end in Budapest. In August, I just got this trip. This is going to be exciting. Another trip to Iceland, which is really a beautiful country. There's not a lot of ice and snow there. In fact, it gets colder here in Chicago, and we get more snow than Iceland does, actually, and colder weather in the winter. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be a cold winter here in Chicago. But anyway, that trip is going to go to see the eclipse. It's a complete solar eclipse. And the following year, there's one in Egypt in 2027, and I'm working on that one too. So, and then in September, a trip to the Galapagos Islands to see the wildlife. That's going to be incredible. So, if you're interested, call my office at 847 590 5411. I will be gone for around 9 or 10 days. You can leave a message, we'll get back to you. Or you can email me, Mel, M-E-L, at Meldor, Meldorr.com. That's Mel at Meldor.com. I'm just really excited about my trips. So the other thing is, hello again to Androniki Skincare. The stuff is phenomenal. Andrew, Andro dash Niki, Niki.com. Um, Wonderful products. So check it all out, everybody. I want to talk briefly about what's going on here in Chicago. As many of you know, we do have ICE here, and they're wholesale rounding up people uh, without any just cause, without any probable cause, uh, detaining them. Most recently, there was somebody who worked for the television station WGN. She wasn't doing anything wrong, and ICE uh, really drug her to the ground, arrested her unfairly, and I might say probably illegally, and charged her with fake charges. And there was such a stink about it, she was released, I think, the following day, and any charges were dropped. There was uh, someone who told them to stop doing it, and that person was slammed to the ground for no reason. And then there was a car that had pulled over, and the footage shows this ICE vehicle ramming it for no reason. And I understand the driver was pulled out and slammed to the ground. I noticed these ICE agents are wearing sunglasses and ski masks. For what purpose? Obviously, because they don't want their faces known. Um, but um, it's just terrible that they hide their faces. That tells me that they know what they're doing is not kosher. Um, there are networks starting here in Chicago where if people see ICE agents, they can call a certain number, and then the people who answer the phone will let people in the neighborhoods know that ICE is nearby. So us Chicagoans are being very, very proactive in fighting against this government bullying. And, our Constitution says that we can criticize the government without, supposedly without fear of reprisal from the government. But the Trump administration is targeting all these Democratic cities and Democratic mayors, specifically Black mayors, and acting this way. There was a federal judge, I think yesterday, that said that Trump sending National Guard troops to Chicago was illegal. And they talk about violence here. Let me touch on that. A lot of what you hear about violence in Chicago is really media hype. Yes, we do have violence in our city, but the most violent city and the most crime-ridden city in this country is Memphis, or one of them. Um, so now that the Trump ICE thugs are here in Chicago, the only people inciting violence and being violent are the ICE agents that are arresting people unfairly without due process, without any just cause whatsoever, just because they might have spoken up against ICE. So the only thugs here at this point, in my opinion, well, there's thugs, but the biggest lawbreakers here are are the people under Trump and the ICE agents arresting people unfairly. I see that stopped. Trump is trying to incite violence here because if he can do that, then he can say it's an insurrection act and he can send in the National Guard. It won't work. I cringe. It's cringeworthy when talks about insurrection, but yet he was an insurrectionist. Remember, folks, when Biden won and Trump tried to uh, not get Pence to certify the election and called for people to riot on Capitol Hill. Hmm. He's the biggest insurrectionist of all. And he talks about rounding up criminals and deporting them. Excuse me, but we do have due process in this country. But yet Trump is convicted of 34 felony counts. And so the MAGAs talk about, oh, we got to reduce crime when many of them support criminal activity. And within the MAGA movement, they've got some of the biggest criminals of all. Our voices can be heard. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So the neighborhood now in Chicago where the ICE agents are pulling their shenanigans is Lincoln Square. And they were illegally raiding buildings because there were workers there. It shows one elderly gentleman who spoke up being drug off, slammed to the ground. And it's just really boils down to uh, ICE is really becoming Trump's Gestapo and terrorizing people. Uh, and the reason he's terrorizing people is to say, if you stand up to my administration, this is what's going to happen to you. That is unconstitutional. And my guides tell me that at some point, a lot sooner than later, this ICE activity will be curbed, I'm sorry. And for those agents who are obeying illegal orders and the person's giving the illegal orders, they're going to end up having to face the karma of that and end up criminally prosecuted for that. Now, that's not going to happen tomorrow at 2:30, but within the next 3 to 4 years, it will occur. My guides assure me of that. The other thing I want to talk about is this government shutdown, which is absolutely ridiculous. My guides are telling me that this whole shutdown was planned by the Trump administration so that they can get rid of and purge governmental agencies. Uh, Notice how he's taking the government apart piece by piece, or trying to, which was all part of Project 2025 that he said he knew nothing about. And my guides have said before, for a while, it would look as if he was succeeding, but at the end of the day, he will not. So just because it looks as if he's won a few battles does not mean he'll win the wars. Uh, it's obvious that Trump has targeted agencies not aligned with his views. Um, Federal workforce is down by 200,000 employees since he took office. And rather than try to create jobs, he is destroying them, specifically in the areas of healthcare, education, and environment. He's firing thousands of workers that are furloughed during this government shutdown. And I see the courts this going to court, and the courts are saying, but wait a minute, he cannot fire them while they're furloughed, and that many of these furloughs are going to be deemed illegal. Once he's gone, and once the Maybelline Queen is gone, I see many of these jobs and these agencies reinstated because many of these agencies protect all of us. Um, he's cutting with this government shutdown health and human services, 1,100 to 1,200 people he's getting rid of. He's laying these people off, but yet he's blaming the Democrats. Excuse me, Donald. The last time I looked, uh, the Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. So how can you blame Democrats? Oh, well, because they didn't vote for my budget. Well, Donald, your budget is as full as crap as you are. Um, with Health and Human Services, a lot of scientists left the department due to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s leadership or lack thereof. Here we have a man who is an anti-vaxxer who's now saying that Tylenol and circumcision causes autism. I mean, where are we going as a country when they're putting out that sort of conspiracy rhetoric and some people drink the Kool-Aid? Well, but most of us aren't. I see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gone from that office, and he will walk in shame and disgrace, as well as will Trump and Trump's cronies, one being Pam Bondi. I see her going to prison for obstruction of justice uh, and abuse of power, as well as Kash Patel and many other people that Trump has put in place. I asked my guides about SCOTUS and saying all of these emergency sessions that they're these emergency hearings they're hearing and kind of sending the message where Trump thinks he's got carte blanche. It's really making our justice system look horrific. And Pam Bondi is too. But a lot of federal judges, my guides are telling me, even some that are Trump appointed and Republican appointed, are going to start standing up against Donald Trump and the Supreme Court and saying, this is unfair and it will stop. Um, the public impression of the Supreme Court has gone down the toilet. And I see some justices and former justices starting to speak up and starting to say that what SCOTUS is doing is absolutely ridiculous. So um, I'm seeing that Trump is trying to start a civil war. He wants one. So, he's blaming everything's on the Dems so he can stay in power and create anarchy and confusion. And it looks like he's succeeding, but remember, he will not win the war. Uh, let our voices be heard. I see people protesting our peaceful assembly. More and more and more multitudes of people are going to be protesting against them. Unfortunately, I see that there's going to be some National Guards opening fire on people, almost like a Kent State, but that's going to incite the rest of us, not incite, but incense the rest of us to even speak up more. Uh, in all my years, I never thought that America would come to this, but we will weather this. Abraham Lincoln's spirit keeps coming to me, telling me that justice will prevail. Our union will withstand, and our democracy shall survive. People in Europe were asking me about here. I've been doing a lot of travel, and they like the American people. They just don't like Donald Trump, and rightfully so, because his tariffs are hurting everybody. Um, Prices in this country have skyrocketed. We're going to go into an inflationary period, but here again, we have the power of the vote, and don't let them take that away from us. We will not do that. My guides assure me. Um, it's funny that education department, 50% let go in March. Many more let go as well. Uh, I'm seeing that the EPA, there's going to be a lot more cuts there. Health and Human Services. So a lot more cuts coming. So as I was saying, Health and Human Services Department, the American Federation of Government Employees is saying that he's illegally firing thousands, and many of these agencies that he's firing people from provide critical services for us. People are asking how long this government shutdown will last. The Trump administration wants this government shutdown to go on and on, to give them the reasons they need to get rid of people in the government. It's also, I think, a diversion because he doesn't want the Epstein files to come out. People are also asking me if the I forget the person who's supposed to be sworn in the House that Johnson is refusing to swear in. I can't pronounce her name, but my feeling is if Johnson doesn't swear her in, it will go and one of Supreme Court and one of the justices will swear her in. I think this government shutdown is going to last probably for about another week and a half, and it's becoming dangerous. Now, a lot of people are afraid to travel. I'm going to say don't be afraid to travel because that's what Trump wants. They want us to sit home in fear, and I refuse to let the fear stand in front of me and hold me back. I'm going to let it get behind me and push me forward. Uh, Tuesday, flying in from Iceland, we were making our approach and we were about 50 feet off the ground. And all of a sudden, the pilot throttled up the engines and we took back off and we circled O'Hare Field. And when we landed, it was a safe landing. As we were taxiing to the gate, the pilot told us that the reason he did the go around is because as we were coming in, 50 feet off the ground, we were almost ready to touch down. There was another airplane on the runway. Now, it didn't hit the news. It wasn't even reported, but I think there's a lot of these near misses going on. And the reason it's not being reported is because there's so many, but it just goes to show that when there is a government shutdown, that things can get quite dangerous in all departments of government. Um, Now he's demanding that people go to work without getting pay. Well, Donald, why don't you suspend your pay? People in the House, why do they get paid? They shouldn't get paid. People in the Senate shouldn't get paid. If the government is shut down, no, they're too busy on vacation. Um, the American people are going to stand up and demand they come back, the House and the Senate, and do their jobs. That's what they were elected to do. Um, this shutdown is ridiculous. It should have never happened. Trump is using it so he can blame people, but I also feel it's a diversion from the Epstein files. And the reason that Johnson doesn't want to swear this woman in is because Trump's thugs are telling him not to, because she's the tipping vote with putting the Epstein files public, and they will be made public. So buckle up your seats, everybody. Buckle up your seatbelts. It's going to be a wild ride. I just wanted to do a brief video and I'll do more. between now and the time I leave for France, and maybe a few from France. I don't know yet. But everybody remember, call your Congress people. If you see ICE in your neighborhood, let people know. Uh, our voices need to be heard now more than ever. And don't feel defeated. That's what they want. They want us to feel defeated. They don't want us to stand up. Remember, let your voices be heard. Step out of the fear and let's take action. Everybody stay safe and stay well. Until later, I wish you an aloha. And once again, thank you. I hit my 100,000 mark, 100,000 subscribers. And thank you to all of you for your wonderful and loving support. Until later, aloha and namaste.